They been on their ass, bitch, I'm on the rail. I wrap it, I bag it, I pack it for sale. Got feeling on speed out, I hit me to chill. I give it a thrill, I put it on film. Niggas facade, get applaud, that ain't real. Come to my section and flex, we can tell. I got a show and she dipping them nails. I'm flipping my L's, I know they can tell. I did it too major, they hit me for favors. Been him since the cable was cut in the cradle. What's up, only right that I do it. Colossal until I'm a boss, so they want me to fail. Look, we prevail. Telling the point out who said that they run it, bitch, I'm on your tail. Know that they talking, they telling them tales. Just know how to tell, that shit for the sale. Yeah.
Honestly, I know it's hard to believe, but you have to trust me. It's got maximum taste and zero sugar.
Stop playing games, wooden boy.
No, I'm a real boy.
Pepsi Max. Maximum taste, zero sugar. Try and believe.
What do you see here? Maybe history, or maybe it's the future.
Amarti mi consola. Amami ancora. Fallo dolcemente. Un anno e mezzo, un'ora.
Tonali plug-in hybrid, a new charge of sportiness.
Hello everybody, how are you all doing and welcome back. Hope you had a wonderful season break. You got me, Mr. Flynn and Mr. Mike today for round number 5 here at the Saudi Arabian circuit. Mike, how you doing and what are you thinking for today for racing action?
Hello and a happy new year to all of you out there. Of course, the first race of the brand new year in 2024 and we are absolutely looking forward to this one. I am doing absolutely fantastic. Of course, my name is Michael Edwards. And what a race to come back to. We're here. It is Jeddah. And it's going to be one of those races where it's going to be fast flowing, a lot of overtaking action, and it's going to be one to remember. That I can assure you.
Oh yeah, 110%. I'm looking forward to some overtakes, obviously, down the back straights. And maybe we'll get a lot of wheel-to-wheel action, which will be quite interesting and quite exciting. And 27 corners around Jeddah. I would say wouldn't you say that's absolutely insane how many corners there is at this track?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely bonkers. Of course, 6.1 kilometers in length, 3.8 miles, 27 corners, as you alluded to, and a lot of them very fast-flowing corners as well, where you're going to have your setups absolutely nailed on. You need the downforce and that to get you through the fast high-speed corners, but you're also going to need that top-end speed because with 3 DRS zones, it's going to provide a lot of overtaking opportunities to these drivers.
110%. I'm looking very forward to see what they can bring tonight on the track. Now, Mike, obviously I wasn't here for round 4, so I'm going to test your knowledge just a little bit. I can't remember what race it was, but what was the racing action like there? And was it quite exciting and challenging for the drivers in the conditions?
I mean, usually, obviously, it's very challenging for all the drivers in Division 1, obviously, week in, week out. Of course, Spa was just one of those tracks where you just had to keep it consistent, make sure you didn't make mistakes, didn't pick up the necessary 3-second time penalties, and you would have been golden in that race. Of course, it was Neverlast Racing's Marlon who took victory with that, with a double CPI podium as well, with Giano and Fraser also joining Marlon on the podium. So it was a good result last week, last time out for CPI, and in terms of the championship, it's definitely spiced things up, shall we say.
That sounds fantastic here, and I'm a bit disappointed that I missed out on a double CPI podium, but I'm glad the team were very happy about that result. But we're now just getting into the lobby, so qualifying will start literally in around about 15 seconds time. Now, Mike, who do you think would possibly take pole position again? Could CPI bounce back and do back-to-back, maybe double podium in the race as well? What about qualifying?
This is going to be interesting because, of course, one of the drivers for CPI tonight, if it hasn't changed, I'm just checking the race lineup to see if there's been any changes. But yeah, one of the CPI drivers, of course, in CPI Fraser, I mean, he's coming back off a race win last night in PSGL, so he's coming in with a lot of confidence, and potentially, that could bode well into tonight's race, and maybe he can get 2 wins in 2 days.
I mean, that would be fabulous to see, and congrats on his PSGL win. So we've now got the drivers coming out on the track. If you want to do the honours, Mike, do you want to get on board with a driver and pick your decision and take us a lap around the lovely circuit of Jeddah? As, of course, it's a lovely street circuit, very couple of high-speed corners and low-speed corners. But yeah, let's see what's going on and take us on board with a lap with a driver.
Yeah, it looks like the first driver out of the pits is Dara Smith, so we'll stay on board with him. Currently on an out lap right now, so we have to give it about a minute and a half before we go on a full flying lap. Of course, in terms of the championships, we haven't really alluded to it much, but only 1 point separating the top 2 teams coming in tonight. Obviously, Outplayed Racing on 139 points, then you got Neverlast Racing on 138. Very close at the top end.
That is quite exciting. I didn't realise the championship was that close, but that just brings more excitement to the end of the season and drills down to who the best team could be on the track. So big points up for grabs tonight at Jeddah, and of course the point system being a little bit different. So yeah, we'll just see how the drivers get on. Hopefully the ones that are in contend for a championship win and taking that trophy home. Do you think they could be feeling the pressure even though it's round 5?
Oh, the pressure's going to be mounted now. Absolutely. I mean, we all know that pressure, you can either crumble under it or it turns you into a diamond. And the thing is, a lot of these drivers, when the pressure's on, they shine.
Well, let's see what they can bring tonight here at Jeddah. And I believe our first driver is about to come around the final corner, I believe, Mike?
Yep, Dara Smith around the final corner for WOR Esports as he gets himself underway to begin the 6.1 kilometer circuit. Running down in towards turn number 1, looking for the break-in point there. Very tricky chicane in this opening 2 corners, but Dara does very well indeed. Running down now in towards turn number 4 and 5. Very fast flowing with 1 mistake, and it could really lose you a lot of time through all these corners by in the first sector. Very fast flowing, very margin for error as well. But running down now in towards turn number 13. Not the slowest corner on the circuit, but definitely a corner that can catch a few drivers out. Maybe the back end might step out if your setup's not as crisp as possible. Now into the chicanes in the middle sector through turn 16 and 17, and now with DRS wide open as we pass the activation point, run all the way down in towards the chicane of 22 and 23. And of course, that can be a good overtaking opportunity, but really you want to launch yourself up for the 3rd DRS straight, running down into the final braking zone of turn 27, where of course we're going to be seeing a lot of overtaking action that I can assure you in this final corner. 3rd gear, the gear of choice there for Dara Smith. Good traction on the exit as well, as the DRS will open once again for the WOR Esports driver as he comes across the line to open the times with a 1:26.2.
That is obviously quite impressive. And we'll see if anyone can beat the lap time as the McLaren of Felix come across the line to do a 1:27.3. So a little bit far off as Fraser crosses the line for CPI, a 1:26.1. There you go. We could also potentially be in the 1:25s almost as the Red Bull crosses the line to do a 1:26.098. These lap times are looking quite quick and quite mega so far, and I must say, very, very impressive. Wow, that is insane.
Yeah, I mean, you just said maybe we can be in the 1:25s. I think we're going to be in the 1:25s 100% now. I mean, a 26 flat on the first of the flying laps. That just bodes well for the rest of qualifying and just shows the levels that these drivers are capable of.
100%, as both Mercedes crosses the line. And one goes P8 for 1:27.6, and the other Mercedes driver a 1:38.3. So not a very competitive lap time. So I'm guessing they're going to recharge the battery and hopefully get a tow from their teammate and try again. But everyone now just getting a benchmark in, and so far no one able to challenge P1 at the moment. That is just a mega lap time. So some drivers seemingly looking competitive and looking quick. I say that, and NLR goes to the top in the Williams, a 126.036. So I believe we could be in the 125s, even though these are benchmark times. It's getting quite interesting.
I think we can almost guarantee we're in the 125s. As Zapala there with a fantastic lap for Neverlast Racing. I'm coming on board with GL_Ethan right now in the Red Bull, as Ethan is coming to the end of the lap through turn 27, looking for good traction on the exit. See, it comes up to the line, and what's this going to be for the GL man? And it's going to be provisional pole. And look at that already. 3 drivers already on a 26.0 and only 9,000. So let me repeat that: 9,000 between GL Ethan and Sapala for Neverlast Racing.
Insane. The gap difference. Everybody all the way down to P number 13, or you could issue P14 as well, all about within a second, which is absolutely insane. We're going to see a very competitive grid if this is what it's like for even qualifying. I'm looking forward to the race. I think the race is going to be more exciting and more thrilling to watch as we get a few more drivers now on the track. I believe doing some more lap times, but one driver yet to set a lap time, currently down in P20, is the driver in the AlphaTauri of GT10. And as they exit turn 27, they're going to make their way down to turns number 1, 2 and 3 and set a lap time. So let's see how they get on. So obviously into turns 1, 2 and 3, bit of a lock up there on the right hand side, but nothing too shabby, nothing too bad, and so far looking very, very good. No invalidations just here, which you want to not do. Of course, if you do, that could ruin your set of tyres and completely mess up your lap and put you nowhere and set you nowhere on the grid as well. But so far coming through sector 1 in the couple of left-handers, right-handers, I think this is probably the trickiest part of the track is going to be sector 1, but now heading into sector 2 as the McLaren moves out of the way there. Not too sure if my game's correct there, but he's gone purple in sector 1, which could mean he's found a little bit of pace in those tyres, which if he has, then it's looking like a very good lap. But now obviously in sector 2, coming to the couple of corners of turns number like 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Obviously he's going to get the activation of the second DRS zone, make his way all the way down to the braking zone of turns 22, 23 and 24. He is looking very marginal, very close to the walls there. I'm surprised he hasn't hit any just yet. Hopefully there's no Max Verstappen moments back in, of course, 2021 when he hit the final corner of turn 27, which wasn't ideal, and that really ruined his very competitive, very quick lap time. But okay, then GT10, the AlphaTauri, coming on the exit at turn 27, up to the start and finish line now. Where's he going to go? He goes to P13 at 126.8. There we go.
Yep, Falco's there with a good banker lap early on. Of course, it's not up there with the best of times at the moment, but as long as you get a lap on the board, you can find time over the course of the remainder of the session. Of course, we're just under 9.5 minutes remaining in the session, so plenty of time for these drivers to find more time out there and improve.
Indeed, indeed, and obviously the track now ramping up. We've got a McLaren down in P16 about to, but on a lap time at the moment, so we'll keep on board to see how they do. But Mike, we've got predictions in the chat, and people asking as well. They're asking who's going to take pole position, and if I have to be honest, I think it's going to be Ethan. Who are you thinking?
Well, I don't want to go the same route as you. I kind of want to be a little bit different. So I'm gonna go with. Do you know what? I'm gonna go with OP Max Geist for pole position. Currently in P6 right now, 26.3. But as we know, OP a very quick team, and in the chat right now it says I've been going to get a pole. Absolutely not. I'd be in the wall already if I was driving. But yeah, I think Max Geist could get himself up there on pole position.
100%, and obviously I'd love to see him on pole position as well. But obviously the McLaren driver in P16 not finding much time, shall I say. He was only, what, 39 thousandths of a second up, but on board with Luca, racing for OP, I believe in sector 2 or 1, if the game was telling me right, he was a 10th up. He's now 3 tenths up. So he's absolutely flying on the track right now. If he keeps within track limits and doesn't hit any walls, I believe he could do very, very well. So come to the final corner of turn 27, where hopefully no traffic gets in his way. If he's close enough to the McLaren, which I don't believe he is, but if he was, he'd get a nice little toe down to the start and finish. So as he makes his way up to the line, it's going to be P5, a 126.4. That's a massive improvement by around about 4 tenths. It's absolutely insane.
Yes, and it does put Luca Kart up there in terms of the times as well. Up in P5, 26.1 there for Luca. I believe we've just seen an improvement. I believe from OP Ryan, who just crossed the line, improving up to P8 with a 26.3. So yeah, it's gonna get tight. It's gonna get spicy. We got CPI Fraser marching up on his time right now, coming through the first sector. Of course, just gone through turn 13 and 14 right now as Grimbo improves with a 25.9. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the 25s, and of course a reminder there in chat that OP Luca is indeed a TF10. So quick reminder, obviously, that he is representing TF10. I believe wasn't able to change his PSN before tonight's race, so we do have to keep that in mind.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I appreciate for people letting me know.
Ooh, Ethan's already out of the session.
That is interesting. He's going. Was he crashed? I think he's crashed. He's
crashed.
Yeah, that is not ideal. So my bag's for pole position.
Fraser goes on the front row. Yeah, absolutely. And Fraser immediately goes up onto the front row with a 25.9. A little bit of slipstream there with max power there for the CPA team, but we're going to see who else is going to be improving. I believe we just saw the Mercedes of Leo cross the line, improving up to a 26.2 as these times are getting quicker and quicker. And in the chat as well, we got IRT Frank saying Fraser cooking last few days. Absolutely, he has been cooking, and obviously coming off a fantastic race win last night.
There we go. I was on board with Yasser, currently down in P17, the other Mercedes driver, and he seems to be really, really struggling. He only did a 126.8, and obviously with a few more minutes of qualifying to go, I think they could be in a bit of trouble here, Mercedes could, because they want to score decent points, but one's in P8, one's in P17. As we all know, it's hard to say, because if it was Jeddah, obviously it is Jeddah, so I'd say, would you rather start at the back than mid-pack to avoid all the carnage and pick up the damage afterwards?
I think that all depends on your confidence of the drivers you're racing around, because realistically, at this level, everyone should be getting through the first few corners with minimal difficulty and minimum contact as well. But I mean, it all depends on your confidence of the grid that you are around, and that's just going to be key for a lot of these drivers that will be in the mid pack, and need to know. The drivers that they're racing need to know how they act towards turn one. Are they aggressive? Are they a bit passive? Can you get, if you're side by side with someone, would you be given space? Like, that's something that's going to be going through everyone's mind.
I mean, that is very, very true. But I was on board with McLaren in P12. He does a 126.3. Not too bad. It's an impressive improvement by around about 2 tenths. He's not far off with getting some big opportunity of point scoring, but obviously there is a race to go ahead, so he's still got a lot more time and laps in that to get some more points. But completely went off in sector 1. Luckily kept it out the walls, which we love to see. And someone has retired from the session. That's going to be the AlphaTauri, who's actually had a moment and had a collision at turn number 12. Bit of an interesting position to crash, but quite unfortunate. So there you have it. GT10, one of their drivers in P18, out of the session.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is not good for GT10 there with Falcos out of the session. Obviously, you got TF10 AT as well in the 20th, also out of the session, along with GL Ethan, who's currently in P4. And it's unfortunate. I mean, it's just the nature of this circuit where there's just small margin for errors. All these corners are very high speed, and just one little misjudgment on your turning in points and your braking points, and you could make a small bit of contact with the wall. And obviously, contact model in this game, if you do make a little bit of contact with the wall, you could be watching from the garage.
That is very, very true, but luckily the contact damage isn't like what happened to Max Verstappen back in 2021 when he smacked the final corner and his rear suspension just obliterated into pieces. So I'm glad to say the contact damage isn't that bad, but if it was like that, I think it'd be pretty cool addition to the game. But luckily it isn't in the game, because I think we'd have a lot of DNFs into that corner if the model damage was like that. But now, here we go, Mike. If we have a look at turn number 1, look at that carnage of cars backing up and quite close together with 2 minutes and 10 seconds of qualifying to go. As we get more retirements in the session as we go. But this could get quite spicy now, because who could take pole position? Because Grimbau's obviously having that crash or something, retiring, and pole position could be in Fraser's hands, or it could be in the way of NLR, who are currently in P3, as Max Power is about to set a lap time around this track. Hopefully no blockage by traffic.
Yeah, I think Max Power is in a good position in terms of track position. He has a lot of clear in front of him. As you can see, look at that gaggle of cars in the middle sector right now, and that is going to be infuriating for a lot of these drivers, because they're going to be trying to back up, give themselves a little bit of room, and of course that could lead to another driver behind them getting a little bit compromised on the start of their lap, as well as on board with Max Power now as we come to the first sector split, and over a 10th up in the first sector for Max Power. So yeah, Max Power definitely going to be looking to maybe get himself firmly inside the top 10, but obviously a lot of time still to come as we run down with DRS into the breaking point of turn 22.
It's 2 times up
And
now.
it's 2 times up. Yep,
We
and
can
he's
get
going to get a little bit of a
teammate.
tow.
Yeah, CPI working together, which we love to see. And as he pulls to the right hand side now, down to turn 27, hopefully not getting involved in any traffic, as there's still a gaggle of cars, and no more for Max Power. So he sees a clear track ahead of him. He'll be absolutely relieved with that one as he crosses the line to go P9 for 126.2. Now it's all about pole position. Who's going to take it and getting that good getaway on the start? It's looking quite interesting, as a few drivers are invalidating, like Heidi down in P6 in the ALFA ROMEO. His lap time in qualifying is done, so let's hope he can stay there. But let's see, drivers could improve as the clock has stopped counting down. So let's see, Mike. Who's your bets on? Is it Fraser or is it NLR?
I mean, right now, I think is very close to call right now for Fraser and Tapali. They're both pretty close to each other on track as well. So we're going to find out who's going to be taking pole position very quickly. I mean, you got Luca Car out there on a lap as well, coming up to the middle sector split as Justin crossed the line up in the P7 for NLR. So a good lap there for him. I believe Aiden just crossed the line as well in P10. And we're going to be keeping you updated as the checker flag has now fallen.
Yeah, I was going to say, apparently, unfortunately, Ryan down in P15 had invalidated, as their teammate Max goes up to P5 in the second Ferrari. So a very good lap time there from Max, as multiple cars now cross the line. Could be invalidations, could not be. But the big question is, can NLR and P3 take pole position, or will it be CPI taking pole? And it won't be Fraser, as he's invalidated on their lap time. So as the Williams crosses the line, is it pole? It is a 125.906. Mega lap time there for NLR. And Fraser, he'll be very gutted with, unfortunately, having that invalidation. And nobody else on the track is improving on position. So it'll be NLR to take the flag and take the way into the race for pole position.
Yeah, and another thing as well, obviously P2 and P4 for GL, they are going to be very pleased with our qualifying result, and that is an incredibly close grid. I mean, look at that, it's just over, what, 3.5 temps separating Well, actually, we'll say, yeah, we'll say 4 attempts separating P1 all the way down to P15.
Yeah, literally 4 thousandths of a second between 1 and 2. That's just... I've never seen something like that before. Never in history of my commentating have I seen something that close in qualifying. The gaps, absolutely insane. We're going to have a very interesting race, I'd say. Very close, competitive. It could be like last season, Mike. You know, it could be like last season. We had that carnage into the final couple of corners. We'll find out. If it is, then it's going to be a good one. We could have 4 wide, 3 wide into turn 27. Oh, I'll never forget that moment. That was legendary, shall we say.
Absolutely. And of course, these drivers are capable of delivering and improving on what we saw last season. So it's going to be good. Obviously, Neverlast Racing on a pole position with the Sapala, and they're going to be very pleased. But I think the GL team is going to be even more pleased with the P2, P4.
Yes, I would agree indeed. They're looking very competitive. Well, they'll probably be gutted that they couldn't be on pole position. I think they were looking quite competitive for potentially a 1-2, but obviously having those slight errors in qualifying, hitting the walls or retiring in the pit lane thinking it was enough, and they'll probably be shocked that they're like, oh, it wasn't enough to stay on pole position. So I believe if they have race engineers, which I believe every single team will have a race engineer, they'll be working really, really hard in the background, thinking what fuel we could put on, what tyres they could go on, and just thinking of strategies of how to overcome the grid. So we'll find out.
Yeah, and of course, to run you through the order one more time, it was, of course, Sepala who did take pole position with a 25.95 thousandths of a second ahead of GL Grim Bowes in P2. CPI Fraser in P3 with GL Ethan in P4. OP Max Geist in P5 with Luca Carr in P6. Henhide in P7 with NLR Justin in P8. IRT Julian in P9, and then of course Leo in P10, Aiden in P11, Max Power in P12, Dara in P13, Felix 1 in P14, Yessa in P15, Andreas in P16, OP Ryan 17th, GT10 Quartz in 18th, then we got Felcos for GT10 in 19th, and of course TF10 AT3S at the back, the only driver not to get a lap time on the board.
That is insane. Oh, looking forward to the race. We'll get going in a few moments' time. And having a quick look in the chat, we have someone saying that NLR currently also level on points with CPI thanks to the pole point. So championship gets very, very spicy between NLR and CPI. So we'll see how they do in the race today. But like I said, we're just literally waiting to go.
Yeah, NLR OP level on points. CPI are they're currently 4th in the championship on 82 points, not too far off the back of ETA Esports. Obviously, they're on 99 in P3. They do have GT10 pretty close behind them on 76 points, 75 points for X Esports, 74 points for WOR Esports, 67. But we'll go to the 5 red lights right now.
Indeed, we will. For 5 red lights here at Jeddah, all the drivers lined up, ready to go. It's lights out, and away we go. The top 2 get a similar good start here at Jeddah, but who's going to be light on the brakes? It's going to be the Williams into turns 1, 2, and 3 as all the drivers make their way safely through the first couple of corners. Obviously, a very tight circuit, very, very narrow. A lot of drivers in the background, shall we say, making up positions, making gains, and shall we say, going wheel to wheel where you wouldn't really expect it to happen. But yeah, all the drivers safely making it through. No major contact. Obviously, we have Ryan in the background. Not a best quality position for him. Currently down in P17 on the soft compounded tyre. Might go for a move down into turn number 13, and he does. He looks to the inside and gets past the Mercedes driver up into P16. We've got McLaren up into P13 as well. There's lots of little close battles happening here. Obviously, if we switch to the tyre delta, a lot of the drivers thinking to go onto the hard tyre, the best solution they're thinking. Some on the mediums and only 3 drivers on the softs.
Sorry, I'm just on board with IRT Julian and Dara Smith. Their battle is side by side, coming in towards turn 22. Julian down the inside, but look at this. Dara's trying to get a little bit of a switch back, but can't get his car down the inside there. But with the slipstream, potentially could have a go into the final corner. But I think Dara's just going to be a bit smart about this. As Andreas in behind, looks for a lunge on Dara. On the medium tyres, the XE Sportsman moves up the order into P12.
Indeed, and Max Power as well, going up to P9 now, making a position up on the Mercedes past Leo. And yeah, Aston Martin looking very, very race pacey indeed. Bit of a moment, bit of a wobbly moment there for Smith. And he's getting swallowed up at the moment. Of course, drivers who are on the medium and soft compound tyre are going to be a little bit quicker. And a bit of a chance for a bit more grip and are able to pull away just a little bit. But just wait until those hards come into optimal tyre range and temperature range, because the hards around this track are really, really good. And I would actually potentially start on the hard tyre, because around Jeddah, when I'm racing around this circuit, in my opinion, I think it's the best tyre to be on.
I mean, it's interesting looking at the tyre strategies from these guys. Obviously, we've got 3 drivers on the set of the soft compound tyres. Obviously, CPI Max Power, OP Ryan, and of course TF10 AT at the back. I think TF10 has actually had to come into the pits for maybe a front wing change, because down there 29 seconds off the back. We got 4 drivers on the set in the mediums. Of course, Esports Andreas, GT10s Velcos, and then of course CPI Fraser and Sipala up there at the front end. Everyone else on the set of hards. Definitely gonna be intriguing how these tyre strategies are gonna play out over the course of this race.
110%, but the Red Bull Grim Bows currently looking very, very race pacey as well, to get potentially up into P1. And we've got Max Power once again going into turn 1 and getting past the ALFA Romeo for P number 8. Absolutely insane move there. But yeah, going back on board with the Red Bull currently in P2, he's gaining like in the first couple of corners and tenths and wherever he's finding time, but then he's currently losing time in sector 1. So it looks like NLR potentially could be on provisional win here, obviously if they keep it clean and tidy. But so far they're looking very, very pacey. But the only unfortunate moment is, which isn't ideal, is they are on the medium compound tyre and Bows is on the hards. So probably a bit unfortunate that the hards are able to keep up with the mediums at the moment. So at the moment of time, it's technically a disadvantage to the Williams and P1 at the moment.
I'm not going to lie, we just saw Sapala make a big mistake, and that could allow Grimbos to have a look around the outside in towards turn 27 for the race lead with DRS. And yep, the GL man into the race lead as Max Geese gets through on Luca there for P5 as well in the background. But here comes Sapala coming back at him with DRS. And it's going to be a run down into turn 1. Sapala's going to get through. Fraser closes up, but not close enough to go for any move there for CPI.
There we have it. So, Barrels thought about, I'll take P1, here we go, job done, nice and easy. And then NLR's like, nah, thank you very much, I'll take you back into turn 1. So, that's how powerful, obviously, the DRS is around this track, especially on the exit of turn 27. It's very, very powerful around this track. And now, having a look at gap difference, we've got, obviously, Max in P5, 2.4 off of P4.
Sorry to get in. OP Ryan getting right underneath that rear wing of IRT Julian here as he's trying to outbrake and go around the outside of turn 13. This will be brilliant if he pulls it off, and he absolutely pulls it off. OP Ryan up into P13. Fantastic overtake from the OP man in the Ferrari.
That was an incredible move. Like, they were wheel to wheel. I have no idea how they didn't make contact, but that was an incredible move. And of course, now up into P13 now. Behind Julian is the McLaren, which is obviously going to blitz by on the same compound tyre, and he does. And now he's just completely flowed by in the Haas. I don't know if the Haas has any damage, which I believe it does. Oh, no, actually, the Haas does have damage. I believe it's missing a winglet.
Oh, that explains the lack of pace here, but look at this side by side for the final corner. NLR Justin and OP Luca Kart. Obviously, Luca Kart representing TF10, but looks like Justin's going for a double overtake. He's got 4 Max keys. Is Max Power there as well? It is. Max Power's in there as well. Again, very racy on those soft tyres as he's trying to make a move on Luca Kart here.
That was very interesting. I thought he was going to go for a double overtake, and I thought there was going to be literal contact, and luckily there was no brutal murder, which we love to see. And good to keep as well. Obviously, if there was murder, then a few drivers may be a bit angry here and there, but that was absolutely lovely, you know. A little bit of contact into turn 1, but everyone backed off nicely, and I thought it was going to be a double overtake. You thought it was going to be a double overtake, but it wasn't, but it was close, and if we get that again, I believe it could be pulled off.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Justin up in the P5 now. Getting the overtake on both Luca and Max Geese on the run down in towards turn number 1. So good going there from the NLR man. Obviously got Max Power in behind on those soft tyres. And he does need to make these moves stick very quickly, because those soft tyres are going to begin to fall away very soon.
Yes, 100%. And obviously the tyre deck around this track is very, very strong. Leo around about 2 tenths behind, and then the Alfa Romeo ahead of him is a bit of a tap then, a bit of contact, and yeah, there's a big crash behind. Obviously that's Leo making contact with, I think it was the Alfa Romeo down P17, and getting involved in that collision is Andrea, who's into the pit lane for a new front wing.
Yeah, unfortunately for the XE Sports driver in Andreas, getting caught up in that incident. Unfortunate for him, but sometimes it just happens in competitive racing where an incident happens directly in front of you and you just do not have the time to react to it. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We got Max Power overtaking his namesake, Max Geest, as well. So we got the battle of the Maxes right now. It's Max Power and Max Geese trade positions here for P7 and P8.
That's very, very true. Now, what would be going through my head right now is, of course, if Max Power's tyres are still alive, wouldn't the Ferrari just go, you know what, I'll let you overtake me and I'll work with you? Because obviously the Aston Martin may have just a little bit more race pace than the Ferrari, but looking at the difference between gaps and delta and corner exits and stuff like that, I think you're right, Mike. I think the tyres for the softs are really starting to drop off now, even though we're only on lap number 6. But the Aston Martin looking very, very quick here and may go for a move on the Williams, or could he go for a double overtake?
Luca down the inside of Justin up ahead as well. So Luca getting the overtake down on NLR Justin, as we got a change in the race lead as Grimbows overtakes Sapala, and it looks like Luca is going to get absolutely swamped on this straight.
That was very close contact between him and the Williams, I must say. Luca doing the best of the best, and he has to change for the lead, which we slightly missed, but there was a lot of battles going on.
The battle in the Maxes, side by side,
as
Max Geese through on Max Power as Dara's out of the race. I think that's a retirement in the pit lane. So unfortunate there for Dara Smith. For WOR is not gone their way here tonight. Obviously Henhide in that incident early on, and obviously now Dara out of this race. WOR Esports going to be scoring very small amount of points here tonight, which is obviously not ideal for them in the fight in the championship.
Of course, obviously it's not ideal, but unfortunate moments do happen. Jeddah can be a track that will bite a few drivers and teams, and just not a very good day for someone's. Obviously, you know, like we had the contact between the Alfa Romeo and the other driver, and then you had the McLaren, who was just a victim of that, getting front wing damage, having to box, and now he's down in P18, way off obviously top 5 and stuff like that. But we've got a change for P2 at the moment, and that's again Fraser and NLR. But I'm really starting to beg that we're going to get another change for the lead, and the Aston Martin may try and go for a move as well when he's looking for it, but he's not switching. Same with NLR, they aren't switching and not wanting to go for the optimal overtake for P1, so that's a little bit interesting. So strategies starting to play in their favour. Some overtakes happening in the background. That's Ryan up into P11 on the soft compounded tyre. Big contact there.
Side by side.
The McLaren as well. Yes, side by side indeed. And they're still going to be side by side. They still can continue. There's no way. And luckily, they both give each other enough space, and the McLaren backs off. That's right into P11. And then you got GT10 in the AlphaTauri on the back of this McLaren, looking very, very spicy. And oh my goodness, that's the Mercedes going off there at the end of sector. End of sector 1, sorry. I don't know if you caught that on board, but
Yeah,
I
mean,
just saw him slide across and cut through the traffic.
Yeah, I mean, I was on board with GT10 Velocos, and I just saw Jeddah getting absolutely redefined by Yasser. But he's getting absolutely pushed through these corners right now by Velocos. Maybe a bit of front wing damage for the Mercedes. I mean, we did say how one small mistake can really hinder you in these fast, high-speed corners. And I think right there, we just saw what happens as Sapala goes through on Grimbaus for the race lead once again.
Indeed, indeed. But look, the Red Bull just coming back at Miss Pala. So down to Turnhamall we go. The Aston Martin pulling out to the outside, inside, outside, trying to think where they're going to go. And now the Red Bull sits behind. So I'm not too sure what strategies the drivers are going for, but oh my goodness, look at all the way down for P7. There's crazy, crazy carnage happening there. Leo going against Max Power. Max Power going back in on the soft tyre. It's all going on. Hopefully we get the Max versus Max Power once again. But the Ferrari looking to push on through, about a 10th behind Luca at the moment. Wants to get this move done as soon as possible and make a position up into P number 6. But not happening just yet. And actually saying that, Fraser losing out there to the Red Bull of Ethan. And it's currently a Red Bull 2 and 3 as we've got the fastest lap time. Going up to the Alfa Romeo 1:29.4.
Well, I mean, I tell you what, this is huge for obviously GL. They are currently in P2 and P3. Of course, in terms of the championship, they are currently right now on the wooden spoon position, obviously in 10th place on 39 points. So both of their drivers being up there in podium positions right now do absolutely wonders for their position in the championship. And it puts IRT under big pressure.
Yes, indeed. And in the background there, once again, the Haas down in P13. Getting a move done on the GT10 driver who's in P14. And once again, down to turn 1. Is the Red Bull going to go for a move? No, he's going to tuck him behind the rear wing of the Williams. So, yeah, I'm very interested to see because obviously lap 10.
Oh, Leo, down the inside of Max Power, you're into turn 1. This is going to be close. And Max Power there defending well.
He is. He's doing a lot to keep that Mercedes behind. So credit, obviously, to Max Power for his Sergio Perez, shall we say, defense there. But go back aboard of the top 3. Obviously, top 1 on the medium compound tyre. Those mediums will start to eventually wear off here from now on. So why wouldn't you just, you know, overtake P1 and then run away on the hard tyres? Or is that just a bit of a shitty strategy because they'll back any DRS? What would you say, Mike?
Oh,
So I would say just overtake and run away because you're on the better tyre, which is the hardest.
yeah, I mean, right now, obviously, if you are both of the GL drivers, I think ideally what you want to do is obviously get Grimbaus ahead of Sapala and try to make it awkward so that Ethan can follow through as well. So I think they're thinking about playing a team game here and maybe trying to work again both cars through instead of just the one.
And then just run away like we saw last season, you know, teams working together in P1 and P2, giving each other DRS to keep P3 out of the zone. But once again, turn 1, I don't see any overtaking opportunities happening, and that's going to be a big no-no. So once again, tugging into the rear wing, and not much happening. But we've got Max. Here he goes into turn 1. Is he going to finally get past Luca? Luca denying that.
Switchback though.
The switchback, it is powerful if you get it right. They're going to be wheel to wheel. And unfortunately, he has to yield. He has to yield. And Luca's staying ahead of P6. So, what's this? We've got Max Power defending P8. And then we've got Luca defending P6 really, really hard. So, it's interesting. But it's what we love to see. Lovely close battles. Lovely content. Drivers coming into the pit lane. overtakes happening. It's lovely to see.
Yeah, and what that battle between Luca and Max Geese has done, it has allowed Justin to get that 1 second gap, and now he can try and pull away from this parking behind him.
Indeed, indeed. And we've got another retirement in the session, and that's going to be a safety car on lap number 11 as they came out the pit lane. It must have been the
I'll
AI
tell you
that
what.
came out.
This is absolutely ideal for Sapala, Fraser, and Max Power right now.
Yes, it is. If you're on the hards, I think you're going to be saying a few words, which obviously I can't say on stream.
Also, I'm going to put this out there right now. GL are going to be in a bit of a bother here because Ethan has to double stack with Grimbows.
Yes, he does. So Red Bull going to lose out. Oh! Big
Sapala
no-no.
with a 5-second speeding penalty. Sapala has absolutely...
you could say
he's
bottled.
done himself in. I mean, I'm not going to say bottled because there's still a lot of racing to go. But he's absolutely messed up the pit entry there. And he's on the set of the softs.
On the soft tyre? A lot of... Actually, I've got the tyre strategy open. There's a... Fraser also on the softs as well. A lot of mediums right now, but soft tyres, are they hoping for like another safety car or something? Surely not.
I mean, we know absolutely nothing here in the commentary box, ladies and gentlemen. We thought it was going to be hards for majority of the field. Mediums for the majority, and then obviously the hards for those that were on the mediums or soft tyres. But, well, I mean, for the likes of, obviously, Julian Quads, AT as well at the back, is going to be absolutely loving life because now they can come back into this race. We've got Andreas currently in P11. He's on 6-lap-old hard tyres, decided to not come into the pit lane, so he's in position, but how good are those hards going to be against very fresh mediums around him?
I don't think the mediums can make it to the end. Actually, no, they can, but they'll just be completely dead. Like, no grip.
I mean, here's the thing. So, we saw, obviously, we saw Max Power take a set of soft tyres to the safety car, essentially. Obviously, the safety car just coming out just now. So, we know that the soft tyres can give you 10 laps at least. And I think we were just starting to see it fall away from Max here just before the safety car came out. So it was perfect timing for Max Power there. But I mean, it's possible to get the softs to the end. Are they going to be in the best of nick? Absolutely not.
No, they won't. But they'll be literally on a ice skating ring, and a lot of defending work to do. But NLR and P1, they've got a lot more work to do, of course, because obviously they've got that penalty of 5 seconds for, unfortunately, speeding in the pit lane. But bright side, the good news, all the drivers are bunched up and ready to go for some more racing action. So the safety car should be in by the end of this lap. Hopefully. Fingers crossed, because we're not the safety car.
Should be end of lap 13 that we get the safety car in. Obviously, I presume that both of these guys are on the soft tyres. By the time we get to around about lap, I'm going to say lap 22, 23, that's where we're going to start to see these softs fall away as much as they were for Max Power at the end. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be close, shall I say.
It's going to be close. And what's also going to be close is the racing action. And obviously, they'll have, like you said, the upper hand for the first 12 laps. But it's just, they won't hold on, obviously, 25 laps. They'll die off, like I said, 22, 23. And obviously, does that mean Grim's going to push? Because the thing is, if you're on the mediums, you could push a lot harder than the soft tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. For, obviously, Sapala and Fraser, they need to get past, and get away from these medium runners as quickly as possible. They're in good position to do so, but as we saw earlier on when Sapala and Fraser both had the tyre advantage early on against Grimbos, Grimbos just has raw pace around here. So dropping Grimbos is not going to be an easy feat.
Exactly. So NLR will be hoping that Fraser down in P3 also on the soft tyre will disturb Grimbo's and get past, hold him up, or they'll be fighting, whilst the Williams can just literally run away and into non-existent and just never be seen again. You know, like abracadabra, just disappeared. But unfortunately, like you said, raw pace against that Red Bull, not a chance, and the safety car is going to be in this lap. So as all the drivers start to warm up their tyres, do a little bit of a wiggle, shimmy here and there, safety car will literally put the foot down and get into the pit lane, and then once it is in the pits, it's sent down to NLR on when we get back to racing speed and green flag racing. So we'll just play the waiting game. Not a great camera angle there, so we'll go on board for the time being. We'll go on board as we always do. We'll go on board a P3 this time and see what their launch is like and see how they get on. So, wow, the Williams actually going really early. That's a great launch from the Williams, but...
And Fraser as well with a good launch.
He's going for the move as well. Up to P2, Fraser goes. Of course, we're expecting that to happen as he's on the soft compounded tyre. Not a lot of moves happening in the background. I lie. And that's the Mercedes obviously up into P11 now, getting past the McLaren obviously on the medium compound tyres. In the background, Ryan trying to get a move done, switching left and right, but unable to get through and a move done there. But everyone also within a second. Quite close racing at the moment, of course. They've been behind the safety car. Ethan in P5 looking very race pacey on those medium compounded tyres, potentially wanting to get past Luca this lap. So, like you said, Mike, Red Bull working together and getting their drivers to follow through and get past and work, obviously, together to get that potential P1. But right about now, Grimbo's is 7/10 behind. Of course, he's not going to be as quick for the first few laps, or I could lie, he might be on raw initial pace. But we'll see what happens as we've got yellow flags, and unfortunately that's going to be Andreas down in P17 on a bit of a spin, or a bit of a contact, I would say, with a driver.
Yeah, Andreas, unfortunately for him, at the back, and it's going to be a long day for Andreas, that is for sure, and it's going to be a long day for both Sapala and Fraser if they can't drop Grimbo's out of DRS range. I mean, Grimbo's has dropped Luca, so the gap has already formed there, and GL Ethan is getting closer to the back of that Alpine.
I thought he was going for it. Literally thought he was going to go for the move, but wasn't close enough. The Mercedes as well, looking very close to the rear wing of P10, but obviously not close enough to get that move done. And unfortunate for Luca, who just, like you said, doesn't have the pace for the top three and is now a second out. So once DRS is reactivated, he won't be getting that rear wing open. He will do if he's within a second, but Ethan will definitely get that rear wing open as he's 5/10 behind the Alpine. But the Alpine has slowly made its way back into DRS, but it could all be done and dusted in these high-speed corners with different wing levels and different aero. But so far, Luca able to get back in the 1 second gap.
And of course, Luca though has used an awful amount of VRS here to try and stay within 1 second. As it looks like Fraser might be looking sizing up a move for the race lead. This will be the first time in the race of Fraser will be in the race lead if he does make this move stick. And we're going to see if the CPI man can overtake the Neverlast Racing man.
Yeah, like you said as well in the background, Luca there flashing as he's indicating he's under 10%, DRS enabled. So this could be a really easy peasy move for Ethan as Luca has dropped out of that DRS zone, and no moves to be done to turn one with Fraser. But I would say Fraser will probably get past the second dose of DRS. That's what I'm thinking.
I'll tell you what, in this battle for P4 right now, I would rather be in Justin's position, because Justin right now has so much more ERS compared to these two in front of him. And it Neverlast Racing, Justin could be looking at a double overtake on this lap by using a bit of that battery to get through on not just the one, but both of the drivers in front.
Very, very true. More yellow flags in the background as that's the McLaren once again. Unfortunately, they're into the walls of turns 1, 2, and 3. But back on board with the battles that are slowly happening in the background. And on board with Ethan, is he going to get the move done yet? As, yeah, Luca's battery is just drained completely. And like you said, Justin, he's the best spot to be in with the more battery than the two
Oh,
drivers
here
ahead.
comes no. Ethan backs out of that one, but here comes Ethan now with another bit of DRS running down in towards the final braking zone, turn 27.
Williams.
He should have it done beforehand as Fraser also gets through on Sepala as well for the race lead. And look at Justin around the outside in the final corner. Justin trying to make this work. And he's going to use a bit of battery. He's going to have the DRS. He's going to have a bit of slipstream up ahead as well from Ethan. So Justin now up in the P5 for NLR.
He's actually off there for the move the other Red Bull. Oh, Max, hello. Where did Max come from all of a sudden in this battle?
Max
trying to go around the
trying to take
outside?
a run. Yeah, he's down the inside of. He was down the inside of Luca. Luca tried it around the outside of Justin there, so it all got a little bit tight and a little bit sketchy in turn 1. But everything remains as it is. Ethan still in P4, Justin in P5, Luca in P6, and Max in P7.
I've got to say, on board with Justin when he made that move around the outside of turn 27. Did you see how ridiculously close he got to the wall there?
Yep.
I have no idea, one, how he didn't get wing damage, two, didn't even touch the wall. That was, to be honest, if we have overtake awards in this like league and season, that would be the overtake award for my vote this season would be Jeddah, round number 5, and that overtake by Justin. I just don't know how I didn't touch the ball there. That was insane.
I mean, here's the thing. We do have a lot of the season remaining, so maybe we will get more overtakes. That match up to that as Fraser closing in with DRS. I don't think he's looking to make the move stick right here, but maybe looking to look down in towards turn number 1 with DRS as well. And I think he's just a little bit too far back.
Justin as well going for the move on Ethan for P4. So obviously having more battery, and in the background Max going up into P6 against Luca, but Luca once again going to go on defensive. He has the outside line, Max has the inside, and Max seemingly having a better exit on those mediums compared to Luca, and job done there. Yeah, surprisingly Fraser not making the move just yet, but now this is what you said obviously, Mike. The gap right now is 1.8 for the Williams, who has literally half a battery, against Ethan, who has literally not even to compete against the Williams. But the Williams looking very, very race pacey. He's already shutting down that gap time. Oh, there's a bit of a snap there on the exit of 13. No idea how he didn't lose the car or like hit the wall or any sort of damage, but he's really got the Red Bull on his gearbox now as Grimbos gets past Fraser up into P2, and now he might settle his eyes on P1. So we'll see what happens here, but Justin, he needs to start gaining, and he's gaining, but he's got a Red Bull hot on his tail.
Yeah, I think even right now playing it smart, trying to save a bit of battery in behind Justin for the time being. Hasn't really gone for the overtake, but he will now into the final corner. Down the inside goes GL Ethan. Job done for him, as you got Max Gieste trying to get his car involved in this scrap as well for P4.
Indeed, indeed. And there goes the Red Bull down to turn 1 into P1 against NLR. And Fraser as well, currently in P3, technically a provisional P2 at the moment. And Ethan doing all he can to help the team and get on that final provisional podium. But I think Justin could really go for the podium here. Obviously, if they keep within 5 seconds of NLR. And we'll just see towards the end of the race with almost 5 laps of racing to go.
Well, I was just going to give a quick little update on that 5-second gap. Obviously, right now, Sapala, with that 5-second applied to him, he would fall all the way down to P9. So it's a big old drop for Sapala at this moment in time. Of course, we're expecting the gaps to continue to extend as these guys in the midfield definitely got their elbows out and battling away. But as it currently stands, I mean, Sapala is losing a lot of positions with that one mistake into the pit lane.
I honestly didn't realise, without doing my calculations, I didn't realise it was like that much of a drop difference. So that is really unfortunate. So I think they're just hoping that they can push a little bit harder and start to break that gap a little bit more, open it up, and hope for the battling to commence and be a lot more fighty behind. And of course, NLR back into P1 but the Red Bull might just fly by here. Oh, as the Williams is actually going to go defensive into turn one.
Here comes Justin. Justin gets a move done on Ethan as well. Up in the P4 goes Justin. So we're getting simultaneous battles going on right now between Neverlast Racing and GL. So yeah, we got Grimbos and Sapala fighting for the race lead on track. Of course, Sapala with that 5-second time penalty, not really in the race win conversation at this moment in time, unless he could possibly get removed. I don't know. It's going to be difficult to argue with a speeding penalty into the pits. But the battle between Justin and Ethan essentially is for the final podium position.
Exactly. So let's see how this commences and how this goes. But in my eyes, would Ethan try to be the backup? So for not Ethan, sorry, Grimbo's obviously in P1. Is he potentially, me thinking strategy-wise, going up into P1 and then slowing down NLR in P2 to help his teammate out? So at the moment, he's just being a roadblock.
I mean, it's definitely a strategy for GL, and of course, it does seem like that is the ideal strategy for him as Ethan comes up to the back of Justin again for P4. The thing is, though, it is very risky in doing that because, of course, if you are going to try and back up the field and you make one mistake, you could end up in a bit of contact, and that could be a steward's report sent in to the stewards.
That is very true, so let's see how this goes. Lap number 21, Ethan back into P4, Justin tucks in behind for P5, obviously having a lot more battery than Ethan at this moment, so I believe this could be a spicy battle between NLR and GL, but we'll just see what happens to the racing laps as they come down. But what I want to keep my eyes peeled to is obviously Fraser on those soft tyres now for 9 laps of racing. They're going to start wearing off. The thing is, can Fraser hold on to soft tyres and hold on to that gap difference?
From the looks of it, it doesn't look like Fraser's actually been pushing his tyres too much. He's been very content in just sitting there and just following these guys, letting them overtake each other, and both Sapala and Grimbos just fight it out in front of him. And you can tell just from the ERS usage now from the pair of them, Grimbos and Sapala use a lot more ERS than Fraser in behind.
Exactly, so let's just see what happens as to lap number 22 we go. Grimbo's obviously going to go for the overtaking opportunity move again. Obviously, NLR go defensive into turn one, or just letting the Red Bull by. And the Aston Martin in the background is starting to lose touch. I was keeping an eye obviously on their gap difference and their delta, and I'm realizing that they're starting to fall off now. So maybe the softs are starting to come to end of life on lap number 22, but they've got not many laps to go, so hopefully they're going to hold on, which so far they're doing. So Fraser at the moment, a provisional P2, it's looking good for him here. It's looking good.
Yeah, but I think you can see just in Sector 1 alone, just the amount of time that Grimbos was able to gain on Sepala there, indicating that the soft tyres have reached the absolute cliff of their performance, and they're going to start to get slower and slower now. This is going to be interesting for Sepala because, of course, on the soft tyres, if his tyres fall off dramatically, he could end up outside of the top 10.
I think that could happen, you know. I think so far, looking at it, he's 8 tenths at the moment. It's now 9 tenths. He'll get DRS this lap to obviously reel in to the top 2 runners, as NLR once again down into turn 1, going to go for the move against the Red Bull. The Aston Martin, lap 23, it could be its final time here at Jeddah, as it could get its final dose of DRS, with the gap difference now around about 8 tenths, with the top 2 now starting to push.
Potentially, but remember, Fraser does have a lot of ERS to use if needed.
100%, 110%, so we'll just see what happens as Justin's still ahead of Ethan. Dallin's turn, obviously, it's going to be 4 and 5 now. And now it's Max East who's looking very competitive and wanting to challenge the Red Bull. But it's going to be an interesting one because obviously all these drivers close. I just realised Max Power down in P8 has a lot of battery compared to the drivers ahead of him. So Max Power could be in a good range here to push a little bit more, use a bit of that battery, and get a few positions here and there.
Yeah, I think Maxo does need to make sure he gets a good run out of some of these corners just to really put him in a position where he can overtake Leo in front of him and try to make his way through the field. I mean, it's going to be incredibly interesting coming towards the end of this race and seeing what's going to happen as Sepala closes up to the back of Grimbo's once again. And with DRS, should get the overtake done into the final corner. And if this happens on the final lap, then it's going to get very tasty between these two.
Indeed it is, and that's what I'm waiting for, as Ethan now closing up to the gearbox adjusting as we make our way out the final corner of turn 27. And
Here comes Fraser. Fraser
oh,
looking for a double overtake.
oh, hang on, we've got Max Geese as well. Oh, it's going to be 3 wide almost into turn 1. It isn't, luckily. But could the Ferrari go for the switchback? He's thinking about it. Could he get the move done on the Williams? And he might do, actually. He's still ahead of the corner. Backs off, obviously. And the Williams stays ahead. Well, that was very, very close. Very close. But obviously, Ethan into P4. Justin in P5. And then Max into P6. As someone's got a time penalty for corner cutting and gaining 2 places. That's very unfortunate.
Yeah,
So
F1.
maybe that might be looked into. Maybe if there was a contact he had to avoid.
Well, now this is crucial. Now Grimbo's out of that DRS range. Sepala has to use his battery to get back within it. That little side-by-side battle with Fraser has not helped the two soft runners. It has put them immediately on the back foot now. And it looks like Sepala has drained his entire ERS to try and get back within 1 second. And Grimbo's obviously, he's low on ERS as well. Fraser, right now, with DRS and a healthy amount of ERS, it could be on for the final lap.
Yeah, here we go then. So lap 24, the provisional lap of this race. And I would say keep our eyes on the top, like, 3. But I'm looking at it. I don't know what to keep our eyes on. There's battles happening left, right, and centre. Fraser looking to go for a move. It's turn 1, and he is. He's going to try and look for a move on the Williams. That goes off the track there. But Max Geese to the background, not able to get the move done on Justin, who sits in P5, 4 tenths behind Ethan at the moment for the final provisional podium place of this race. But all the drivers are now going to start pushing. There's battles happening down in obviously 11 and 12 against GT10 and TF10. So we'll see how that happens and how that unfolds and goes on. But yeah, looking spicy, looking interesting. In my thoughts there with Justin staying behind Ethan. Smart.
Oh, big mistake from Grimbo's. Grimbo's there getting a big snap of oversteer there, so unable to get the gap that he really needs. This is going to make that final DRS zone very, very tasty as Sepala now will close up with DRS down in towards turn 22, as will Fraser, and it's all going to be about that final DRS run into the final corner. And you can see these guys are closing up to Grimbo's, and now everyone's on their battery.
Ooh. Here goes Fraser. You might get P2 here. It might be a bit. I think here sets a dive. Justin up into P4 as well. It's happening left, right, centre. Fraser unable to get moved done. Max as well gets Geese. Oh, he's got a better exit than the Williams.
Look at Max Power. As Max Geese to the line, he's going to be able to get this. It's going to be a drag race. Surely, he just misses out.
It was close, but there you are. NLR P3 with Justin, and unfortunately, teammate of NLR down in PA, not ideal. But to be honest, they had a very good race. 49 thousandths against P3 and P4. Very unfortunate for Ethan, getting doubly overtaken there. But there it is.
I'll tell you what, it was looking very good for Neverlast Racing, but that 5-second speeding penalty for Sepala has really limited the amount of points that they could have gained over Outplayed Racing here tonight, and that could come back to bite them in the rears come later in the season.
Exactly, and big point scoring obviously go out to GL and CPI. They're big point scorers today, so they'll get some good points in the bag. But yeah, that was a lovely, lovely race around Jeddah today, I must say.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And of course, a very, very calm, composed race win there from Grimbos for the GL esports team. An incredible job by M. Fraser. The soft tires just did not last at the end for either Fraser or Sapala to really put in the challenge that they needed. It was close, but it just wasn't meant to be. And look at that gap between Max Power and Leo. 7 thousandths of a second. Like, they were drag racing to the line.
But to be honest, that is what you love to see here at Ultimate Masters, is just the insane racing action. And especially Jeddah is a lovely, lovely circuit where you get crazy racing action. Absolutely insane. We had that last season, didn't we, Mike? Last season, it was like that. Drag lace to the line, dive bombs, everything. It was insane, but there you are. Those are going to be your provisional results for now. And also Red Bull on top with Fraser in P2 and Justin taking that final podium position of P3. And then also you got Max Geist in P4, Ethan in P5, Max Power in P6, Leo in P7, NLR in P8, GT10 in P9, and then TF10 in P10. So that's the top 10. But obviously everyone here at Ultimate Masters, it's a Constructors Championship, will score points today. But big names dropping down, and yeah, interesting. A lot of penalties being handed out, but it's all down to the stewards for a good old steward report, shall we say, because it could get interesting if reports are made and results could be changed. Obviously, make sure to keep an eye out on the social media of X, formerly known as Twitter, and an eye out in the Discord and elsewhere like Facebook and other bits and bobs like that. But Mike, what is your thoughts and opinions on today's race?
It was an absolutely incredible race. I mean, Grimbows, Fraser, Sapala, and obviously even in that first stint were just in a world of their own at the start. But that safety car, meaning the double stack for GL Ethan, put him in the mix with Justin, Max Geist, and obviously Max Power as well in there. But in the end, it was GL who came out on top, and it was just a superior strategy.
It was indeed superior. The way to go. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, that was a good race. We had some really good battles, obviously, to the top 3. They were fantastic. P8, P9 to like P4. That was insane. Look, with a train going on there. We had a good Max versus Max battle, which hopefully we'll see more as the season goes on. But speaking of the devil, having a look at the calendar, next race, we are heading to the lovely track of Brazil, known as Interlagos, which is going to be lovely and exciting to watch. And we'll be back on the 30th. So in around about 2 weeks' time, you've got Div 2 next week, showing some more racing action around Jeddah. So make sure to stay tuned for that. It'll be on the Twitch channel for Div 2. Div 2 also have amazing content. So once again, closed championship battles. As me and Mike know, wonderful, wonderful drivers. But I'm guessing we'll just wrap things up there, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, obviously, Div 2 next week going to be running, of course, at Jeddah. Of course, CPI Esports currently lead the way in Division 2 on 130 points. And they have an 11-point lead over NLR Development on 119 and 110 points for Team G4. So it's just as close in Division 2 as it is in Division 1, which is, of course, what we absolutely love to see. So make sure you guys tune in next week for Division 2 action.
Exactly, but for me, Mr. Flynn, we're going to be signing out. And obviously, if you're new to Ultimate Masters and want to get involved and know more about us, feel free to head on over to Twitter, obviously known as X now. And if you're not in the Discord, feel free to join it and interact with our lovely community. But for me, Mr. Flynn, I'll be signing off, and the lovely Mike.
Yeah, I'll be signing off as well. Yeah.
Yes, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks' time. And yeah, bye-bye.